Let's move on to our first main topic today. Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This is from Eddie Marsden. Hey, John, just saw the Gemini Man only made $20 million at the box office this weekend. I know that's not bad for many movies, but this one cost about $140 million to make. How big of a disaster should the studio be concerned this is? Is this a disaster for the studio? Are you surprised by Gemini's numbers?
Okay, look, just everybody calm down. Oh, it's a disaster. There's no spin. There's no spin here. This is an unmitigated disaster. Now, look, who knows what happens as they move forward? Maybe, it catches audiences, but the buzz hasn't been great about it. I enjoyed Gemini Man. I enjoyed it. It's one of those situations where I thought all the cool, fun things to watch in it outweighed the negative things, but there are a bunch of negative things there, and not everybody thought the good outweighed the bad. And there are some struggles there with the film. So I don't see it getting crazy amazing word of mouth that's going to give it some sort of big week 3, week 4 resurgence, you know what I'm saying? When you're opening a movie that costs that much to make, you need to make more than $20 million. I mean, it's not just that it's $20 million. It didn't even win its weekend. It didn't even come in second place in its weekend. It came in third behind the Addams Family, for heaven's sakes. Which, I'll be honest with you, made more money than I thought it was going to make.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have pegged Addams Family probably around 20, maybe even 19 or 18. So it outperformed what I thought Addams Family was going to do. Good for it. But Gemini Man? This crazy high effects, amazing technology, Will Smith, blah, blah, blah. Third place to a movie in its second weekend, Joker, and it's not like that movie in its second weekend made $120 million. It made 55, which is great, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Came in third place with $20.5 million. Now look, it didn't help the situation that Gemini Man got less than glowing reviews. I know that didn't help the situation. By the way, it's nice to see Abominable still sticking in there. I like that little movie. Anyway, Downton Abbey keeps making cash as well. Anyway, it's concerning when you see a movie like this that did have lots of promotion. There was a lot of marketing. I saw a hell of a lot of marketing for this thing. Rob, I think you did too.
A lot.
Like a hell of a lot. And yet, this kind of comes out this way. Rob, when you're looking at a situation like Gemini Man, what would you attribute it to? What caused this sort of failure, collapse, do you think?
Well, look, I ran out. You got to see an Ang Lee movie. And Ang Lee's one of our most gifted filmmakers. I mean, I love just even going back to things like The Ice Storm. I mean, he is Life of, all the way to Life of Pi. He's one of our great technologists. And you can't not pay attention to an Ang Lee film. I think the problem with this movie is while you had a central gimmick, there wasn't a whole lot more. I'm always about characters and story. My Burnett axiom is never put your universe before your characters and story. Ultimately, I think what let this movie down is the script. It was the story. It wasn't that interesting. When we live in a world, a post-Face-Off, post-Looper world, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing a young version of Bruce Willis using just prosthetics, I understand the technology on display was great. But the plot of this movie, there was just not a whole heck of a lot that we haven't seen a million times before and more interestingly done in other films. And I thought that was its biggest weakness, that the plot, the script, and it's been around for 20 years.
Yep. But it felt like a first draft.
It really did. It really did. And it didn't feel, the story let the technology down in this case. I thought Will Smith did an amazing job. Coming off of $1 billion film like Aladdin, I mean, Will Smith is in the air, it and everywhere, and it proves his social media presence is huge. It just proves that, one, movie stars do not necessarily open films anymore. What opens movies are great characters and great stories that are irresistible for audiences. And when you have, in the same year as Endgame, you've really got to step up your action. Even after John Wick 3, this movie just didn't have what it needed to connect with people and get them talking.
I wonder if part of it is that, here's the thing, the main central premise of the movie that they advertised, and they did do a lot of marketing. Remember, audiences don't know it doesn't have great character whenever until they go see it, and they didn't get them out. I wonder, Rob, what do you think about this? I wonder if it's that the main central theme is guy realizes his clone is coming to get him. That feels more like an end of Act 2 plot turn than it does like your underlying foundational premise for a whole movie. Do you think that's maybe what didn't get people hooked on it?
Yeah, but I also think, John, even in the trailers, the action that was on display, I mean, you saw some motorcycle stuff.
Which looked great.
It looked great. And look, when I was at CinemaCon, I was all excited for the technology on display. But when you look at the trailer for Hobbs and Shaw, there's all this crazy over-the-top action. People are flying out of buildings and hanging off of helicopters. And even the action, which is what this movie was also selling, there was nothing in that trailer that you really haven't seen. I didn't see one shot where I'm like, wow, I haven't seen that before. I mean,
although the spinning brake on the front wheel, spinning motorcycle, so the back wheel hits the guy. I got to tell you, I freaked out at that. I love that one shot, but
yeah, but
to your point,
like, yeah, what you've got to show me something that is. I mean, basically, take away the technology. It's one guy chasing another. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you take away the premise, you know, which is the story, what about that premise is different? What about, like, give me something intellectually, like I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen? You've got to make me wonder what's going to happen. I mean, we've seen, look, again, I hope I go back to Looper, which has the same premise where there's, you know, the same guy. How do you make that more interesting than something we've already seen? I don't think this movie did that.
Yeah, it also didn't tell us anything really. Okay, this guy's trying to kill this guy, but other than that, it didn't tell us anything about the story. Why is there a clone? Why is this guy going after the guy? What's the emotional hook of this that should get me out as an audience member? But still, I thought it was going to do better than 20.
Me too.
I'm not going to lie. I thought it was going to do better than 20. I really, really did. What do you guys think? What would you attribute the stumble of Gemini Man to? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.